Hey guys, what's up? Brennan Mejia here. So I have been an actor for over half of my life. So today's video, I want to break down how I bring characters to life in the projects that I'm a part of and the challenges I face when doing so. Let's get into it.
It's morphin' time! Dino Charger, ready!
T-Rex Charger, engage!
Energize! Unleash the power!
So for the first character is the one I am most well known for, and that is Tyler Navarro from Power Rangers Dino Charge. So when I got this role, I did a couple of different things to approach it. For Tyler, I looked for archetypes, basically other superhero-esque characters that I wanted my energy playing Tyler to kind of resonate with. So I was personally drawn to Tom Welling's performance in Smallville, Jason Font in Power Rangers Time Force, as well as Daigo in Kyoryuger as the Kyoto Red Ranger. So not that I wanted to steal from any of these three, but there were certain ways that they portrayed themselves in situations that inspired me, and I just wanted that to be read through when I portrayed Tyler on screen. Now that I had an archetype in the back of my mind, then for me it was creating backstory. So backstory is basically when, if the script doesn't tell you what happened to your character, so let's say the script starts where your character is 18, like Tyler, and it doesn't really tell you what happened in his life before that, other than that Tyler's dad went missing when Tyler was 8. Don't know anything else. The writer didn't tell me anything else on pen or paper, so I took it upon myself to come up with Tyler's backstory. So for instance, I wrote that Tyler learned martial arts with his dad because it was something they bonded over, and then when his dad went missing, Tyler kept up with his martial arts training because it reminded him of his dad. So for me, that was the reason Tyler knew how to fight when he morphed versus I can just fight now that I have a Power Ranger suit, which doesn't make as much sense to me. Another way with Tyler that I created backstory with was watching a bunch of old Power Rangers episodes just to remember the tone of the show. So I grew up watching Power Rangers, but there was a big hiatus in my life where I stopped keeping up with it. So I wanted to jump back in, so I made it a mission to watch at least one episode from every single season leading up to Dino Charge. Some of them I watched the entire season, some I watched 2 or 3 episodes, but I made it a point to watch a little bit of everything just to be like, okay, is the tone kind of the same throughout all of it, or do some seasons kind of do their own thing here and there, or is it all pretty light and fluffy and campy, and what level makes sense to exist in the world of Power Rangers that is Dino Charge. Aside from that, what I also got to do with Tyler, which is more unique because I had so much time to work with this character, I actually had an acting coach that I worked with before I went and filmed. So we read a lot of different, I believe, if I recall correctly, it was like different Shakespeare characters that he had me work with, and some other characters that was very like definitively good and bad, light and dark, because Power Rangers tends to draw that line in the sand where like, well, Sledge is bad, he's trying to, you know, kill everyone, that's bad. We all collectively agree that we don't want Earth to be blown up, so we root for the Power Rangers. So a lot of the things we worked on was very much like, this is the good guy, the bad guy. We also got to work with an acting coach for 3 weeks when we did Dino Charge, who helped us find our characters as well, and how we interacted with each other as castmates. So that was something I haven't had the experience or the pleasure to do with any other character. So that's how Tyler got created. And then as the scripts continued, I worked within them and would sometimes ask the writers if I could say lines slightly differently, because I felt like Tyler would deliver his dialogue more like this after I got to be Tyler for the better part of a year. The other challenge really was just not having a lot of downtime to sleep. And I didn't drink caffeine at the time when we filmed Power Rangers, so I was perpetually tired to play a character who was perpetually energetic. So always being like, hey guys, let's go on an adventure, and then like, and cut, and they'd be like, oh my gosh, I need to sleep. So, you know, just being very tired. Obviously Tyler is a character, Brennan is me for real, but there are a lot of similarities with Tyler. So he was one of the easier characters for me to play because he's so like how I am in real life.
Okay, any word you say, Brennan can say backwards perfectly. He's a backwards talker. Check this out. Ointment.
Tenem.
Yes. Okay, slippery watermelon.
Europils Nalum Retsoa.
Do you hear this? We love this boy.
So another show that you may know me from is iCarly. I was in the pilot episode, also known as iPilot, I believe that's what it was called, and I played Brennan Yubberly. He's a backwards talker, because I actually can talk backwards, and I have a video where I sing a bunch of Power Ranger songs backwards, which you should watch. And the audition, they were just looking for people with random talents. And so in the audition, they're like, so what can you do? And I was like, oh, I talk backwards. What do you mean? And there's a bunch of posters in that room, and I said, well, point to any of these posters, and I could say them backwards immediately. So they're like, okay, that one, this one, I could just do it. And I thought it was really cool. And then a couple days later, I got a call that I booked it. Then we did a table read like a week or two later with the whole cast, where we went through the script, and basically they were like, yeah, this is gonna be a great show, you know, because again, none of us had filmed it yet. It was fun because unlike other shows where I've been on later, they already had an established rapport. I was on the very first episode, so no one really had a rapport with each other just yet because we were all new to it. And unfortunately, I was only ever in just the one episode, but my helmet, I wore a Roman helmet for like the dance part at the end of the episode, and I'm like this with my Roman helmet on in the background. But that wasn't hard in the traditional sense. Like I didn't have to memorize my lines because Jeanette McCurdy and Miranda Cosgrove's characters basically in the scene were asking my character to say things backwards, so I just had to do my ability in real time. So like, slippery watermelon, you're a pill smelling Retzawa, ointment, tenemtano, whatever, you know, the other words they asked me. So I just had to do what I could do when asked to do it. So they kind of fed me my lines and I just had to say them backwards. So that was an easier job in that sense.
It doesn't matter why. All that matters is how we capitalize on it. Here, check this out. 16,000 views just in the last hour.
So another show I created a character for was the show Supergirl. I played a character named Jerry. That was a dream come true because A, I was about to quit acting again, like I seem to do when I get upset without booking a job in a long time, and then I booked that. And B, I got to film in Vancouver, which is one of the top 3 countries I wanted to visit, New Zealand being one, Canada being one, and Japan still being one I haven't visited, so that's the next one on my list. But I did get to go to Vancouver to film Supergirl. So I played a drug dealer. I know, I was a Power Ranger, and then you were a drug dealer. Sorry guys, sorry, they were both roles. I wasn't actually selling drugs. But the character, his reason for doing it was to try to help his younger sister, Bobby, basically help pay for school and whatnot. So it wasn't really established why he was taking care of Bobby, but my backstory was along the lines of his family wasn't there for them, you know, so they were runaways. My character was actually an adult already, like 19 or so, the age I threw him at. And then Bobby was getting close to going to school, and so I was trying to make money to help support her, and the only way I knew how to make money was selling drugs. So for him, it was just good-hearted person doing the wrong thing. Obviously not a character that I connect with as easily as I did with Tyler because I'm very anti, you know, doing illegal drugs myself because I'm very into health and I don't like things that screw with my health like that. And one of the things I learned early on in one of my acting classes is you can't judge your character, or you shouldn't judge your character that you're playing. If Brennan has an issue with a drug dealer, but then I'm playing a drug dealer, would my drug dealer have an issue with himself on the level that Brennan has an issue with him? It makes this weird disconnect if you're hating your own character. Villains are not villains in their own eyes often. So even though my character Jerry was a drug dealer, his reason for doing it was noble in his mind. I'm also anti going to jail myself, so yeah, that's why I also don't like the whole drug dealing thing.
How'd they get you?
Was the driver, first time, and someone tripped the alarm. We didn't make it 6 blocks.
It's always a way, isn't it? Just one slip up is all it takes, and then you wind up in here with the most powerful people on the planet where their powers don't mean anything anymore.
So one of the first times I got to be a lead in a movie was in the movie called Corrective Measures, which was a Bruce Willis, Michael Rooker, and Tom Cavanaugh star-studded film. And I got to be a main character in it as well, which was amazing. Again, I was about to quit acting. I seemed to almost quit acting and then I booked stuff. It's really, you can call it fate or whatever. I don't really believe in coincidences. I believe like I was at the end of my rope and God knew it and was like, bam, here's a job. So my character in Corrective Measures, Diego, was newly married, had a newborn and couldn't pay the bills. And so he felt pressure, like he needed to do something to provide. And he made a bad deal with someone he knew to be the getaway driver of like a bank robbery. And of course he got caught. It was his first offense, but in the storyline of Corrective Measures, anyone who has superpowers, oh, did I mention it's a movie about superpowers? You should watch it. If you have superpowers, you get sent to this specific jail, San Tiburon, where you're placed in this ridiculous facility, even if you're not a crazy supervillain, but because you have superpowers, they just send everyone there. And my character was an empath, and I don't mean super strong like Mantis from Avengers, where he can like make people fall asleep and stuff. He could just feel emotion strongly, which wasn't really a superpower that was helpful at the time. So for him to get sent there, it was really him just trying to survive, to pay his time so he can get back to his family. So that character, I had to play him more I chose to play him more subdued, because although this was after Power Rangers, I wasn't playing a Power Ranger and there were bad guys with powers, but my character didn't have a superpower to fight people. So there were fights that took place and I didn't really join in those fights. Or when I was threatened, I didn't get to stand up for myself the same way. So it was hard to play a character who let other characters basically have the upper hand over him. And it's so anti the idea of like, good guys always win. And I kind of had to suppress that for this role and be like, well, this is a character that's being taken advantage of by the system and by people in the system who are other people in jail, as well as the warden, and who do you trust, and just basically not get to be optimistic through it all like other characters I've portrayed, like Tyler, who's always optimistic regardless. Diego was not. He got beaten down by the stuff that was happening to him. So even though I mentioned Diego doesn't have any like superpowers other than being an empath, when the director found out I could do handstand push-ups, they wrote it into the script. So there's a scene where I'm working out in my jail cell and they let me do handstand push-ups. So even though Diego wasn't like a fighter, they were kind of hinting that if we ever got a sequel, that Diego was leveling up, that there was a potential that he could be a viable threat against evil from his training. It was fun having that arc over the movie of like really downtrodden and unconfident to, I gotta do the right thing even if it comes at personal cost.
What do you think, Gabe?
I don't believe in ghosts.
So a character that was pretty opposite of Tyler Navarro was Gabe Ramos in American Horror Story Murder House. Yeah, I was in that show too, in the season finale. So that character was basically a skateboarder, cool kid, teenager, moving into the murder house unbeknownst to his family and himself. And he's supposed to be like, you know, just kind of carefree, whatever, doing his own thing, rebellious teenager kind of deal. And to play him, again, was hard because I always had the superhero complex, even before Power Rangers, because I filmed that before, where if I had to get in a fight with a character, I wanted to be able to win or put up a fight. And there's a scene where Evan Peters appears in my room after I had a scene with Violet, Thaisa, who played Violet. And Evan Peters wants to kill me, so I become a ghost that can then spend eternity with Violet because he's trying to do a nice thing for her because, yeah, whatever, crazy ghost guy. But I didn't get to really fight back. Like I came at him at one time, then he grabs me and throws me to the floor, and I wanted to keep fighting, and that was hard to do because I wasn't new to acting, but it was one of my earlier roles. So I really, for some reason, thought I should cry during the scene when he's choking me. And I was mad at myself, I remember, that I wasn't able to like make a tear happen. And so I'm like, come on, just be sad or scared. And I'm like, but I'm not actually sad or scared, I'm just nervous. And so I couldn't force a tear. That wasn't the way, in my opinion, now to go about it. You don't just try to make yourself cry. People who cry on camera typically are trying not to cry. It's like this weird dichotomy to make it look real, because most people in real life, they're not trying to let people see them cry. They don't want to show, you know, weakness, so to speak. So when I was trying to force myself to cry, my body did the opposite. It put up armor. But if I tried not to cry in hindsight, it would have probably been easier to maybe get an actual tear or closer to that emotion. So that was a learning experience for me, just how to really regulate emotions and what looks good on camera. Not that it was actually difficult in that sense, but it was just my brain was judging myself really hard for not feeling the emotions and crying when I wanted to, and all these things that I planned to do, and as I rehearsed it, I was doing, and then when I got on set, I just wasn't feeling any of those things. But like they say, the show must go on. And it did, and it was fine, so.
Heads up, the app's being a little glitchy right now, but it's basically a how-to manual for being dead.
So one of the most fun roles I got to play aside from Power Rangers was Daniel in the Snapchat original the Dead Girls Detective Agency. Yeah, Snapchat has a show, and I'm in 2 seasons of it. So Dead Girls Detective Agency is basically what the title says. It's dead girls, so ghosts, that became a detective agency to help solve murders to get people to cross over to the other side. Because if they had regrets or whatever, they wouldn't always cross over. So their job was to help people come to peace with their deaths so they could cross over. So obviously I am not a girl, but I played the boyfriend of one of the dead girls in the Dead Girls Detective Agency. My character's name was Daniel, a 17-year-old ghost, or perpetual ghost. Now, this role was actually the only role, I believe, or one of 2 roles that I was just offered without auditioning for it. I just got an email one day or a call from my agent, and they're like, hey, Snapchat wants you in this show. And I was like, who in it knows who I am? And I still, to this day, don't know who in production or who in some part of Snapchat's team knew me from something to just offer me this job, but it happened. And that was a fun role because even though it was only 10 days, it was the most I got to be the same character in a TV show other than Power Rangers for multiple episodes. And the funny thing with Daniel, I was playing a 17-year-old, but I was 28 or 29 when we filmed it, which means I played a younger character in that show that took place, you know, what, 5 years after I filmed Power Rangers, and I was playing a character 1 year younger than my character in Power Rangers. So I guess the Energems really make us not age. That and makeup and the way they styled my hair and my clothes. So that was a really fun show to be on. I just got to meet a lot of cool people on it and then work with them in such a way that, you know, it's even though they were only 3-minute episodes, there was more dialogue almost, I felt, than in Power Rangers. Just because it wasn't like stunt heavy or Megazord battles. Every scene was essentially dialogue driven. Some of the scenes that really stuck out to me, I couldn't tell you the name of the episodes again because they're like 3 minutes long, so go sit down for 30 minutes and watch the whole season. But when I got to argue with some of the other characters, because it was fun to be able to really get in someone's face and stand up for, even though my character was lying, but trying to sell the lie to them and make it as if it was a truth, and going from 0 to 100, like, while they were like, why are you snooping around? I'm not snooping around, I'm here because I'm supposed to, blah, 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 whatever the lines were. But just getting to like ride that arc and getting to play that kind of character was fun.
I hold out my arms to you as a welcoming symbol of acceptance to our school.
We're not hugging, dude.
Now, obviously, I've been on Nickelodeon shows like Power Rangers and iCarly, but did you know I was also in a Disney show, Kickin' It, which is basically like a martial arts show. The main character, Jack, is this martial arts prodigy, and it's the dojo he trains at and the adventures they all get into. And my character, Zane, was the bad boy, new kid in the school, and it's fun to play him because I often go out for like the boy next door kind of role where I'm the good guy or the sweet person who has the crush on the girl or the friend or something like that. And this time I'm more like, even though he was actually a good guy, he came across as if he had like this bad boy vibe to him. I had my long hair at the time. I got to do some martial arts in it, and same in the audition room too. Got to throw some kicks and things, and that was a fun one because I was nervous, but I had time to like be comfortable with the character too, to like try to play it as if I wasn't nervous. So I think I did a good job of hiding my nerves is my point. You know, there's always still some nerves, even in other shows where you're just a guest star. Sometimes there's that fear that you don't fit in because everyone else already has like this group energy on set and you're just there for the 1 week and then you're gone. So it's like, well, do I sit with them at lunch? Do I sit by myself? Do I try to talk to them, or do they have their own clique? You know, that kind of thing. But everyone was super nice and accommodating on set for Kickin' It. Kickin' It was just a really fun one to be a part of, and it'd be cool to jump on another show on Disney at some point too. Being on set is one of the most amazing feelings in the world, and it's always really sad when it comes to a close. If you want to watch me talk about the end of Power Rangers and my time on it, click this video.